Hey y'all, welcome back. You are tuning in to episode 4, and if you are wondering how are we even here, that's easy. Idea to Launch Academy. Click the link in the show description. It is a self-paced course. Within 30 days, you can launch your new podcast or have a whole rebranded podcast. Enjoy the show. Cuatro means this is Double Dose of Raw Talk Podcast with your host, Miss D. And I have a very, very, very special guest today. And I'm sure you guys could feel me smiling right now. And it's because I'm trying to compete with her smile because she has an amazing smile. Wait till you guys see her. She has like an awesome smile. But yeah, we are here today. We are going to discuss a few little things I think it's important to bring to light. Let me introduce to you. Well, let me let her introduce herself. Drum roll, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Naihomy and OffDutyMami on IG.
That's her baby.
That is.
Well, she has other babies.
I do have other babies.
But this is like her baby, the equivalent of like what my baby is, which is what you guys are listening to. And that is your blog, correct?
Yes.
All right. And when was this baby born? OffDutyMami.
A little over a year ago.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, maybe 2 years
Okay.
ago?
It might have been. I feel like it's been around for so long.
I know.
Yeah.
I took a break and then I'm back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it might have been 2 years ago. That's crazy. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How are we feeling with that 2-year-old now? Are we in the terrible twos? Or terrific twos, maybe?
I think terrific twos.
Okay.
You know, I picked it back up and I'm actually investing time in it. Posting on IG, it takes some time and it takes some thought if you're just not doing random things or doing your personal things. If you actually want to send a message and you want to connect with people, I think there needs to be some intent behind that. And something you want to share that you know will connect with your intended audience. And that for me is specifically Latina mommies, but of course there may be many other people who can connect with the messaging.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I want to say that I knew off the bat, you know, the OffDutyMami was definitely a great platform to set the tone for us Latina mommies, but I definitely see your following and I see who responds to it and I see who can relate to you. And so it's definitely not limited to just us, right?
Right.
So just to give you guys a little bit of a background, you guys already know by now, this is episode 4. So you've gotten to know me. I made sure between episode 1 to 3, I brought to the platform people who are going to bring out little things about Miss D for you guys to get to know me and know what to expect in the episodes that are coming in the future. But I want to just give a little background as to how I know our wonderful Naihomy here, who I call Nay. And, you know, there's more to her than just her blog. Her blog is everything I think it can be and more. But we do know each other for quite some time. So we go back. Oh, man. How many years? So funny story. Ready? The first time I actually met her, I think it was around my 25th birthday or 26th birthday when we went out to that club. Yeah. So Nate came as, girlfriend of one of my close friends. So I met her that night. And what was very interesting of that night, and I will never forget, the fight that was caught in a picture.
Oh, gosh. Where are you going?
Do you remember? But it was just the way she handled herself in that moment. You see it in the picture. She was just so calm, cool, and collective since then. Until this very day. This is exactly who she is. She is calm, cool, and very collective. And so fast forward to almost, 10 years later that we've been rocking like that?
Yeah.
She has her baby OffDutyMami, but she is a mom.
Yes.
2 boys. They're very handsome guys. If you follow OffDutyMami, you will see how handsome they are. They're charmers. Charmers like their mom or charmers like their dad?
I think we each have one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Each one. Perfect. And so I definitely wanted to chat it up with Nate today because there's something I wanted to touch base on. This is March. The month of March is Women's History Month. And I find that nowadays a lot of us women are trying to still continue living our paths, living our truths, and seeing how we could leave behind our own legacy and making our own history. And so you already know I have a big mouth, and so here I am on your platform, trying to live up to this momentum. But do you see OffDutyMami as something that is definitely you leaving your legacy, creating that legacy, you know, for your kids, for your spouse, future spouse, for yourself, for your family? Like, where do you see yourself in the month that we celebrate Women's History Month? Like, where is that legacy? Where is it that we balance out the whole career thing, being a mom, being of our home? She's like closing her eyes right now as I say that.
It's a loaded question.
Yep, yep. And this is why we're here to discuss it, guys. So let's kick it off.
Okay, so that's a loaded question. So let's start with OffDutyMami and legacy. I started that more of a personal thing, to share with other moms, because, and especially in the Latina community, because as we were discussing prior to starting the podcast, everything is, you know, you have to take care of your family, and you have to take care of your home, and you have to take care of your kids, and then, but wait a second, like, who takes care of you? And what can you do to help yourself? Like, there's rarely someone asking you, like, what do you need? It's more of you all the time. Like, maybe sometimes your spouse does that, but maybe not. You know, so it was just, I had to find things to do for myself that would fill my bucket, because I found that if I didn't, I would lose my patience, and I was extra stressed, and I was angry and frustrated. And it was like, no, well, I need to find something, or I need to plan things that will be for me and for me to have fun. Not for my kids, not for my spouse. They're not invited. Like,
Yes.
it was maybe other moms, maybe by myself, maybe one of my friends, you know? So, and I just figured I'd share that, because I never saw, especially following tons of my friends on Instagram, where they posted something that they did for themselves. It was always something that they did for their children, or something that they did for their family in general. So I was like, wait, okay, I can share what I do for myself and maybe inspire other moms to do that and to show that it's okay. So hopefully it becomes a legacy, and it makes it really big. But it was an outlet for me, like, almost selfishly, to, like, show that and express that, and hopefully share it with more than just my inner circle.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that you said the whole selfishly. Selfish is definitely a theme these days. I don't know if it's with the wave of the 30s, and well, I'm 34, so we're entering in a whole other
mid 30s, baby.
mid 30s. So selfish is definitely a topic, but I've been one to look at being selfish the wrong way, and then I hit 30. And then it was like, no, selfish is actually healthy.
Yes.
It's for my sanity. It's okay to be healthy. And it's okay with that to be selfish. Just to point out about doing something for yourself. We actually had a conversation. So we were going to go to a girls trip in April. Myself and my two besties. You happen to know them. And we're going to have to postpone it because it's to Jamaica. And with the whole, COVID-19, the whole frenzy. At this point, nothing has been banned to Jamaica, but we should be careful and we should take precautions. So we're going to start having that discussion to see if we could postpone it for some time in August, maybe. Something that could work all of our schedules. 2 out of the 3 have kids, so we have to also coordinate around that. But our whole purpose and the reason why we've been so emotional with it is because we've been saying we need the me time. We need the time alone without our kids. Like, I have a soon-to-be 13-year-old. He's turning 13 this week. And, he's a good kid, but sometimes you just need to step away.
Yeah, no matter what the age of your kid is, you need to step away. And it's for their benefit, too, because I find that if you are so stressed and if you are so frustrated, that was one of my posts that I recently put when my kids were in gymnastics, and they were, they were driving me nuts, like me and their dad. And we were just so frustrated, and we were such in a bad mood. And I was acting like a mom I did not want to be. And you kind of need to step back and realize that, like, it's first important to realize what's going on and to honor your feelings and then do something about it, right?
Yeah.
And I knew at that point, I'm like, shit, I'm not being the mom I want to be. I'm super frustrated. I don't want to treat my kids this way. So I need to find a time to take a break and bring myself back together.
Yeah.
Do something for me.
Because we're still going to be moms at the end of the day.
Right. So that when my kids come out of gymnastics, I'm not acting this way.
Right.
And, you know, I'm better.
Right.
So, yeah.
I commend you for that. That's actually been something that I've had a hard time figuring out myself. And the reason why is because, as you know, like I said, we've been friends for a long time. I am a single mother.
Right.
So the scrutiny always falls a little bit higher when you're a single parent, especially in our cultures, our Hispanic cultures. And so the expectation gets a little twisted, right? Because, you know, you're not dealing with a person, so it's just on you, but, you know, you're the mom. The kids belong to you, so you're just going to have to figure this out. So I've never been the type to really, I don't want to say I've fallen into those vicious cycles where I've constantly had to discipline my child with the physical method.
Right.
Have I? Yes, I have in the past, but not to the extent of how easy it was with me growing up.
Yeah.
Now, I'll be honest, I was not one who used to get her ass beat all the time. I probably deserved it to get my ass beat all the time because I had a fast mouth. But it was just more common with me growing up, with us growing up. You know, you will get slapped. And so the threat has always been there with my kid, just letting him know, like, there's no limits here. I'm going to do it if I have to. But I agree with you. My method has always been to try and avoid that. I wanted to avoid that. I wanted to change that behavior. I did not want to do the same things, like from what I saw growing up or from things that, whether it happened to me or to my siblings or to my cousins or whomever, I did not want to follow that.
Yeah.
I wanted to try and go the other route and, like, speak to him and, like, talk to him. The other thing is, I love that you said, like, you know, I wanted to change my behavior because sometimes it is us.
It is us.
And and when you said the accountability, one of the things I kind of sort of... Don't hold grudge. I'm not going to say resentment, but one of the things that I made in my commitment is my parents never said I'm sorry. Till this day, my parents will not say I'm sorry if they're wrong in anything. And so I made it my business that if I'm sorry, my son is allowed to call me out on my shit.
Yeah.
Let me know, and I have to talk to him about it. And if I have to apologize, I do apologize. Because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like, that's just a human factor.
Yeah.
We're raising humans here. I'm not raising a young man, you know, well, now he's a young man, to think that he's not allowed to have emotions, to think that he's not allowed to cry, and to think that it's always going to be his fault.
And Mom of Boys is a whole other story.
Oh,
I mean, we can do another podcast on
just
that.
On that, yes. Of being a mom
A
boy.
Mom of Boys,
yes, it's
because
crazy.
the conversation has to change, you know?
Yes, it does. It does. I'm actually glad you said the whole Mom of Boys thing, because we do have that in common for sure. Do you find that to be, you know, I don't have a daughter. You don't have a daughter.
Nope.
But you have friends. We have mutual friends who have daughters.
Yeah.
Do you see that there is an actual complete difference in raising them? And where do you see the similarities? Because I think there's so many areas where there are similarities too. Like, do you feel there's that much of a difference? And there's a reason why I'm asking you this. You know, now that he's going to be 13, my son, you know, this whole idea of we're going to have the sex talk, right?
Yeah.
A lot of my friends who do have teenage daughters are like, oh, you have it easy because if, you know, the girl gets pregnant, it falls on her. It doesn't fall on your kid. But I actually don't feel that way because of the type of mom I am, because of how I'm raising my son. Do you think there's, like, a difference as we continue to raise our boys? Like, where do you see that going?
Well, my kids are young. My kids are 3 and 5. And in that age range, the way we're raising our sons, I feel is different in some cases than other family members, maybe.
Okay.
Because we've been in situations where the boy in other families, for example, is not allowed to touch something that's pink, and it's not allowed to touch his sister's dolls.
Right.
And that's not how we raise our sons. And I had a conversation with my partner about that, to the point where he defended our son from his own father because my son picked up a tablet that was pink or had a pink cover on it because it was his female cousin's tablet. Yeah. And he was super younger at the time, maybe 3. So, of course, he was throwing a tantrum because he wanted to play with this and all that. And Grandpa said, well, why are you, acting that way and having such a fuss about it? It's pink anyway, so you shouldn't even be playing with that. Oh. And my partner stepped in and he's like, whoa. Wait a second. That's right. And he was like, pink is a color and he's a child and he just wants to play with the tablet and he can care less about the color. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Thank God you did it.
I didn't have to step in here and do that.
Yes, thank God you did it.
But there's many more examples that I can think of. And then there are many more examples where people or other families are still raising their sons with this mentality. And it's like these things that you can't cry and you can't show emotion. And we try and have open dialogue with our sons at this young age. And it's like, well, if you're upset, then why are you crying? And there's a difference, right? Like if you're whining, then I'm going to call you out on that. But I'm not going to say like, don't cry like a girl. Like, no, it's like, don't cry like a baby. Don't be a baby.
Yes, I hate
because
that.
You're not a baby.
Right.
But gender is never mentioned, is not a thing. Yeah, and I like totally lost track.
No, you're actually you're actually on the right track. But just so you guys know, her emotions are totally on this table with this cup of coffee we're having right now. But I get you 100%.
It's not, and then as they get older, because I mean, I'm not there yet. I have a good 10 years, maybe a little less to go till my son's a teenagers. But we have totally discussed this, and I will whip out a PowerPoint and what else is when they're older.
That's right.
And explain to them, everything the female goes through and everything the male goes. Like, we were just talking yesterday about this, how I'm going to pull up STD pictures and show them a penis and a vagina.
Thank you.
And show them everything that goes on and what they can catch and what they can't catch and what goes on. Because there's no reason for one person to be more responsible than the other.
Yes.
Like, you are both making this decision. But another thing is that they both need to be well informed.
Exactly.
To help them make those decisions. Like, you're not always going to be there. And I'm sure, Daisy, probably you're going through this as they grow older. Yeah. You're not with them most of the time.
That's right.
As you are when they're babies now, 5 and 3, Yeah. And even now with my kids in school, like, they're mostly with other friends. So how do you handle those conversations with those kids,
Yeah. Well, your 5-year-old is actually in the phase of, show me yours and I'll show you mine. I was an after school group assistant, and I was like 12 or 13, and I had the youngest crew. And we dealt with that. We encountered that so many times with the 5-year-olds. Like, he said he'll show me his if I show him mine. Yeah. But this is just kids. These are kids. They don't think it's anything wrong. It's curiosity. They're going to enter that phase. But I agree with you. I think it has a lot to do with our education, right?
Right.
I'm actually glad we're segueing into this, because this is actually going to go. So I'm going to formally introduce to you guys the segment called As Raw As It Gets. And this is exactly where I was hoping this conversation would lead to, because it's a reality. We already mentioned a little bit of how it's okay if the tablet is pink, right?
Right.
Because the truth is, with this segment As Raw As It Gets, I definitely want to discuss and compare it to how we grew up, which is a huge piece of this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
We do have to get raw with our kids and teach them and explain things, and we have to make the executive decision on what age is that the right moment. A lot of people may have not agreed with me, but I made the executive decision to always keep it very real and raw with my son.
Oh yeah,
very honest. I've had people not agree with me till this day. I've had people who say, you don't need to talk to him about that. Like, he doesn't need to know about that stuff. Negative. I completely disagree. Okay? But because of that, I've chosen to educate my son along the way about certain things, because when I started being sexually active was very young, and it was based on false information. It was based on what everybody else was doing. I didn't have the right education, not even at home, because we just don't talk about that. I come from South American parents. So if you don't talk about it, it's not happening, And so that's why I wanted to, get as raw as it gets right now. Like, how is it that we handle with that scrutiny? Because I'm sure not everybody in your family agrees with your methods. hence the example you just gave. Grandpa's like, no, it's pink, leave it alone.
Yeah.
But we're doing it different. Like, how do you deal with that part? How do you cope with that, with how we grew up? And you have a platform. You're creating a platform for off-duty mommies, for mommies in general, where we're at the point where it's like, we want to share certain things, that it's okay. This is a safe platform to come to.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you cope with that? Because I'll tell you, I get into arguments with my family members. And I like to argue. I get into arguments. I do. There's a lot of people who have a lot of things to say that do not sit well with me.
Yeah, I agree with that. But you know what? It's a platform where you get to educate your family members as well. I'm known to have this reputation to have a tough attitude or to have, all these things. But women have this double standard to begin with. Like, if you're stern and then like, you're a bitch, or you're too tough, or I'm as sweet as pie.
Yeah, she is.
But don't get in my way. I deserve that respect.
That's right.
As their mom. And I've had to stand up to my mom and say, I'm their mother.
Yes.
And I make those decisions.
Yes.
You have to ask me first.
Yeah.
I understand your grandma, but they're my kids.
Yes.
And even with, my, what is it called? Mother-in-law sometimes.
Yes.
Things like that. Like, they have to follow my rules.
Yeah.
And it's not anything that's out of this world.
Yeah.
And it's just very simple things. Like, if my rule is there's no eating in the bedroom, then you're not going to make it okay for them to eat in the bedroom. If my kid is having a meltdown and I told him he's not going to have candy, you're not allowed to give him candy either.
Right.
And I have told them directly that they're not going to do that in front of my kids to know, who was making the decision at the time.
Yeah.
I'm sure my time is going to come to bend those rules, but at this point in time, I need to stay strong, because as they grow up, then they're going to think I'm a joke, right?
Yeah.
Or their parents are a joke. They need to know that if we say something, then that's how it's going to be. Yeah. And my mom was similar in that sense, but I find my mom to be pretty open-minded. So if she has these preconceived notions that she grew up with herself, I'm allowed to tell her or try and explain to her and teach her that that's not really how things are. And then she's like,
Yeah, I dealt with that too.
So it's a platform for you to help the older generations understand. Like, some generations is just way too late, like with my grandpa, and when he says ridiculous things, then I just kind of laugh, because they are so ridiculous, and he's like, what, in his 80s, and he's not gonna change his mind. But for our parents, aunts, uncles, like, it may be an opportunity, and even if they're resistant to it at first, you already said it, they already listened to you, they already have this bug in their ear, and they will think about it twice at least before they say something or before they mention something, and then they'll see the benefits of the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
Because I was having this conversation with my hairstylist, Candace Witherspoon, by the way. She's great.
Yes, all right. We can tag her here.
Anyway, yeah. So she is African. She comes from Africa, and she was saying how we were kind of left to raise ourselves emotionally.
Oof.
And it was a very deep conversation.
That just
as she's highlighting my hair, right?
It's a great moment.
And we were talking about it. Like, yeah, our parents were there when they gave us food, they gave us shelter, they gave us clothes. Like, but emotionally, we felt like we raised ourselves. And a lot of us that come from immigrant parents had to grow up fast. Like, I was having adult conversations when I was 4 and 5 years old.
Same.
Stuff that I shouldn't have been talking about because my mom didn't know English, and I had to translate for her at the doctor's office. My kids luckily don't have to do that. I get to keep them more in their age range. So it's just so difficult, and in terms of the way that we were raised. And I know we were talking about boys, but my brother's like a mess. And let's
keep it raw.
He's gotten a lot better, but he has had so much emotional growing to do because he went through a lot. And he was told things like, you're not going to be my son if you get tattoos and you get
Oh
earrings
my
and this and that.
God.
And he has tattoos and he has earrings, and it has totally scarred him, you know?
Yeah.
My kids ask me about that, and I say, you get to make that decision when you're an adult.
Yeah.
I don't tell them, oh, you're going to be a títere, a ganguero, a
Yeah.
this, a that. Like, no.
Yeah.
You know, it depends on what you're doing and what you're getting and who you're hanging out with. It's a lot. And if you want a tattoo or you want an earring, and my sons have asked about this, like, they love Bad Bunny and I love Bad Bunny. And you know, Bad Bunny is very himself.
He's him.
He's very himself
and unapologetic.
Yeah, and I appreciate that about him. And one day my 5-year-old saw that he was wearing nail polish, and he comes to me now. What would your mom have told you?
Absolutely not. Oh my God, my parents,
right?
My dad, Jesus,
my gosh, right? Agua bendita everywhere.
Yes. Oh my God, God forbid.
God forbid. Yeah. So, but the response I had for my son was, he's an adult, and he gets to make that decision if he wants to wear nail polish or not. Yeah. Also, he's an artist, and that's probably part of a costume or a style that he wants to convey for the music video or whatever he's performing.
Right.
And then he's like, well, why doesn't daddy wear nail polish? And I said, well, because daddy's an adult and he chooses not to wear nail polish. Right. When you're an adult, you get to make these decisions and have these choices. Right. And he was very content with that answer. He was totally okay about it. There was no more questions. There's no gender talk. None of that. Right. And it's just, you know, I feel like it's simple. I answered his question. Yeah. And it's kind of leaving the door open for choice. Right. In this new age that we're living in.
It is a new age.
At the same time, I don't want to pin anything, you know. And I feel like if you do get into those gender conversations, it just makes things more complicated.
It does. You're right.
And they cause more questions. Like,
you're right.
They know the difference between an adult and a child, and they know that when they're an adult, they have more choices.
Right.
Blank. Point blank.
Point blank. Yeah. So with that being said, this morning we were doing laundry. Okay. And of course, I have my preteen helping me, and he says, "Ma, did you know that Dwayne Wade's son, he had surgery and he cut off his penis, and that's why he's a girl now?" So I said, show me the news article, show me what channel said this, because that's not true. I go like that. And he goes, yes, it is, Ma. I saw it. So I'm like, no, it's not. Show it to me. I want to see. He goes, Ma, it was on TikTok. So I go, TikTok is not a reliable source. This is not where we're going to go for this information. I said, but if you want to have this conversation, we're going to have this conversation. Right. So let's have this conversation now. Let's get it out the way. And we did. And it was a good moment for him to understand that not everything he sees online is reliable. Yeah. Okay, not everything is titled to be a resource. Not everything can be used for education purposes. But that moment, I was able to use as an educational purpose and an educational moment, and tell him, you know, moving forward, we have to respect this child who has decided to now go by Zaya. His parents are respecting it. So all we have to do is respect it. Exactly. Whether you agree or disagree with it. You know, I'm one who has continuously had a conversation with my son about what his preference is. Who does he love? My son has been falling in love with black girls since he's 2 years old. But in this later age, I was telling him, well, you know, if you ever change your mind, if what you want is still a girl, but you know, have a different background, or even if you start liking boys, just talk to me. But I'm actually glad that the kids around me are coming to ask questions. Yeah,
that was not the case before.
We didn't have that. I didn't have that. God, I never had. Today I am 34, and today I can have a conversation with my mom. I did not have those conversations with my mother. When I was 18, to the point of the tattoos and the piercings, me and my best friend, we made a pact. We wanted to do something together, but we were too much punks to go get tattoos done. So we went to get piercings done, and we got our nipples pierced. So I go down to Fordham to get my nipples pierced. She gets hers done. I get mine done. And my mom finds out somehow, someone told her that they saw me going into the piercing shop. So I had a cell phone, and my life was threatened. If you come here and I see you with a tattoo and I'm going to search your whole body, I'm kicking you out, I'm busting your ass. So I'm like, damn, I didn't get a tattoo, but I got my nipples pierced. So how do I do this? So my best friend goes, I think it was her idea. She goes, yo, just get your belly pierced now. So as soon as you walk in, you just show her the belly and that's it. She don't have to search you. So I did that. And that hurt more than my nipples getting pierced. I don't know how, but it did. But I did that because at that moment it was like, no, I'm probably gonna get kicked out. Yeah. She's never gonna talk to me again. Because the moment she realizes that I got my nipples pierced, then she's gonna ask me, why are your nipples pierced? Are you having sex? You know, because in her mind, doesn't matter if I'm 18, her daughter's not having sex, right? Because we just don't talk about this. Yeah. It was like such an intense moment. It's so funny you bring that up because my life was threatened just because somebody in the community saw me going into the piercing shop, and it got back to her. It got back to her somehow. I think it was on a Saturday or on a Sunday. I can't remember. I thought I was real slick too. Like I was doing this and nobody was going to see me and I wasn't going to get caught. But I almost did. And I was able to hide it for some time. But it's a real moment. Like the way things were for us then, it's so different now. We can't really hide things now. You're right. You have artists, not just in the mainstream for the Hispanic culture, but even in the urban culture, the English cultures, they are wearing nail polish. These men are doing things like that. They're wearing more than one set of earrings. Their hair is different. And so the questions, I don't think, come out just from our boys. Also little girls are seeing that and they're like, well, wait a second, like, is that normal? Like, is he supposed to be with nail polish?
Yeah. I had a case where one of my friends was over and she has daughters and there was a video playing and all the men, it was a group of men dancing and they were all wearing heels.
Okay.
And the daughter was very curious.
Wow.
And, you know, that family didn't feel so comfortable being open about having those types of conversations. So I felt like I had to step in right away because, you know, the daughter had seen it and they had questions. And all I said was, oh, they're performing and that's their costume.
Which is true.
Which is true.
Yes.
Not to get into any other conversations because that would be assumptions. What I knew was that they were doing a music video and they were dancing and they were performing and that was all. Yeah. And the you know, the little girl was totally cool with that and she understood that that they were putting on a show. And that was it.
Have you ever had parents like just totally put a stop to you?
I don't step in that often.
Okay.
But I knew it was gonna go south real fast.
Okay.
And it was in my home.
Got it.
So yeah. In that sense, but if it's something that's totally against what we do, then I might step in. But I don't think
you know the question of gender is not just one-sided anymore. There is on all sides. There's so many different ways we can identify now. It's just so much. Like when you said that's a loaded question, I think we're in an age right now that is so loaded.
It's loaded and
fully loaded. And it's overwhelming. I was filling out a survey to participate in a study group yesterday. And the question was, are you Hispanic, Latino, Latinx, or Spanish? And I had to stop filling out this survey because I was so overwhelmed. And I said, when did this become that I had 4 options to identify just based on what country my parents were born in? I'm born here, but do I really identify as an American?
Yeah, the questionnaires are getting intense.
Loaded. And so when you think of gender identification, those are fully loaded now. It's no longer male and female.
No, I was filling out a job application and they ask you male, female. And then they're like, well, how do you identify gender neutral, gender binary, gender this, gender that? And I was like, I don't even know what this means. I just put like, what's that option? Like, not applicable, or I wish to not say.
That's
I'm like, I don't even know what this is.
Yes,
like,
yes, that's my new thing. To be honest, I've started clicking that box too.
Yeah, and it's the whole thing of Latino, Latina, Hispanic, Latinx, blah blah blah. And I click that, and then there's like, well, what race are you? Right. Black, white, Hawaiian, blah blah blah. And I'm like, none of the above. Like, I'll just say it Hispanic.
Right. I don't want to say.
I don't even know what it is.
Yes.
I don't know what the answer is. Yes. Because it's like, okay, well, I can click like black and white, but it's like black, not Hispanic, white, not Hispanic. I'm like, well, I am black Hispanic and I am white Hispanic. So what the hell? Like, I don't know. What is it?
At that point, are you respecting my choice of how I identify?
I don't even know. Then you need another box that is like black Hispanic, white Hispanic. Like I'm both. I did my 23andMe. My chart looks like a freaking rainbow. I'm from everywhere. Like, I don't know.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
Oh, so I've been thinking about it. I have been. I might be overwhelming for me, but I've been thinking about it.
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of people have done it. Yeah, for sure. You know, I'm glad we're definitely so naturally like having these discussions, because I was like, I definitely want to touch on so many things. One thing you did mention, and we're going to kick this off into our last segment, which is Double or Nothing. So this segment that I'm going to start off with, well, I've already mentioned it in the previous episodes, but I definitely want to dig deeper with this one. It is definitely a segment where we do have an opportunity to give my guest, you, if you want to have a full-blown rant or a topic from everything that we've just flowed into. And so I definitely would like to cover two things here. So one thing you said before was, you know, if you're too loud or you're too strong in your voice, or, you know, being a woman and then being a Hispanic woman, right, a Latina, how have you dealt with that in the workforce?
Oh gosh, let's not go there.
Have you ever had anyone made you feel like that's a problem, your voice, in the workforce?
You know, I feel like I'm not as loud as assertive in the workforce, in the workplace, and maybe, you know, that's a whole nother issue. Maybe I should be.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like the times that I have spoken up, it's kind of ignored. Oh. Which is another side of things. It is. Yes. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, it's just, you know, it's just her in the corner, or it's really not that important, or we'll get to that when. And it's just not taken as seriously. Yes. It's ignored. It's taken me 10 plus years to try and even understand how to navigate a corporate space. I've worked in 4 different Fortune 500 companies. In corporate America, and it hasn't been easy. And, you know, I have recently become in contact with other women of color who have expressed the same struggles and the same pain, because it's a whole different world. Like, I didn't have anybody in my family who worked in corporate America and who can guide me through an interview, and who can guide me through negotiations, and who can guide me through my year-end review. Like, I've just had to learn by, you know, stubbing my feet, hitting my knee, like falling on the ground. I don't know. Yep. I haven't had really, you know, you need sponsors and you need this and you need that. Like, I had no freaking clue. And it's not until now, when it's like 12 years in, that my eyes are kind of now open, and I know a little bit better what I'm supposed to do. But it's taken this long, right? Right. And it's just 3 whammies, right? Like, you're a woman, and then you're a woman of color, you know, and then you're a parent on top of that. Like, those are just a lot of fucking layers. Yep. And it's hard to get through them. Yeah. And I don't think we're there yet. Yeah, honestly. I agree. I've just started reading this book. I'm halfway through it, called The Memo. Oh. By Minda Harts, and it's like what women of color need to know to get a seat at the table. Wow. And it was basically a response to Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. And it's like, well, if you keep on fucking leaning in, you're gonna hit your face on the wall, like on the table, because how do you even get there in the first place? And this all, like, now all companies want to do this whole diversity and inclusion project, and but they just, listen, it doesn't go anywhere most of the time. And it's like, how do we bring in people of color? Well, that's one side. And then it's like, how do you retain them? How do you pay them well? How do you move them up the ladder? You know, like, it's a lot. Yeah. And I am actually a woman of color. Yeah. I've actually never felt like I had the right to identify as such. Oh, yeah. Because I don't necessarily have all the experiences of women of color and what they encounter. Oh my gosh. If you read this book, I am sure you're going to find things that you were like, shit.
That's me now.
I didn't realize that that's what was happening. I thought this was totally normal.
Yes.
And I was like, finally, someone has said it. Someone has wrote about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not losing my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is true.
Mm-hmm.
It's going on. And I feel like maybe this conversation is going to open up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, you know, and it's many struggles, right? Like, another point that's in this book is, okay, well, your pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your white counterparts, their paycheck goes directly to them.
Yeah.
And their parents are probably still paying their rent. Or their groceries or their phone bill or whatever it is. Like, maybe, hopefully not now in our mid-30s, but when I was in my 20s, that was definitely happening. And what was I doing with my paycheck that was probably less than theirs? I was paying my own rent. I was maintaining myself. And I was giving my mother money to put in her savings account or her Roth IRA or whatever it was.
You're hitting it all right now.
Like, I didn't have the summer to go to my freaking beach house in the Hamptons. I didn't, like, I still had to work my ass off. I still had to pay my loans. Like, I still had a bunch of crap that I had to do with my paycheck that no one else was helping me with. Better yet, I was helping my family.
Right. And
so those are things that are not seen. And then you want to stiff us in the check. You want to not move us up the ladder. You're wondering about all this diversity and inclusion bullshit that you make. It's like all a facade. And yeah, like, where do you go? Like,
it's true.
I have not raised my voice in the sense where I'm being angry, but just started to express myself. Honestly, I'm going to keep it real. Thanks to fucking Cardi B.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. First of all, we grew up in the same neighborhood. I'm way older than her, so it doesn't even matter. But, and you know what? At first, I'm going to be honest. I was annoyed. And I'm like, damn it. Here's another Dominican, like, going on rants and doing all these things, and there's from the Bronx and blah, blah, blah. And then I started to really pay attention. And then I was like, wait a second.
She's onto something.
Hold on. Everybody loves this lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, she has a lot to say. Yeah. And then I said, you know what? And it was Cardi B and it was Oprah when they were like, just be yourself. And then I was like, oh shit. That's why everybody likes her. Because she's herself. And then I said, you know what? And to be honest with you, I am not myself a lot of the times. I feel like when I was a child, I was never myself.
Got it.
I felt like if I was myself, I was going to get in trouble. Oh. I felt like if I was myself, you know, people weren't going to like me. So I sheltered myself, and I have like this big turtle shell that I just hide in, and I would just be quiet, and then I would get anxiety and I wouldn't share my feelings. And then in my freaking 30s, I was like, oh my gosh. Yes. Like, just be yourself, and whoever doesn't like you, then you know what? They don't need to. Yep. Fuck them, like, whatever. Whoever's gonna like you is gonna stick around. Yep. Like, maybe you don't need to be friends anymore. And that's a lot of growing. Yes. Like, you shed people. The same way you shed skin, you shed people. No hard feelings.
It is what it
is. And no hard feelings. Like, you're definitely moving. You need to move in the direction that's best for you in your life. And the people that are going to tag along are going to tag along on that journey. And the people that want to move in a different direction, then that's what it is. And like, thank you to Oprah, and thank you to Cardi B, and thank you to J-Lo. Like, I am so serious. Indirectly, they have mentored me once I started listening to all these podcasts. And I'm so honored to be here on my very first one. Yay. But yeah, just like, you have to be. So then I started doing that at work, right? Like, trying to be myself and expressing my thoughts and all that. I don't know if it got me anywhere or not, but you know, I just had to start exposing who I really was
and come out of that shell.
It's tough. It's hard to do. It's so hard.
I'm so happy that you brought her up with Cardi. If I haven't said it enough, I'll say it again. As much as she's a sexual person, and I just click with her. She just keeps it real, and
I appreciate that.
She says everything I'm thinking, or probably said, I mean, you guys are my friends and you guys know me. I probably said some of the same shit she does all the time. Who gives a fuck? But you're right about that, though. She is the type that does not give a shit who says what about her.
Yeah.
She is herself. This is who she is. And, you know, we can sit here and go down a whole list of women of color, Black women, Hispanics, Latinas who do the same, right? But we grew up a little bit sheltered to think that we should not do that. You might get in trouble. That's not what girls do. Sit this way, sit down that way, stand that way, or whatever the case may be. And here we are as adults, and we're trying to figure out this thing we call life, right? Being who we are today in 2 different industries we've been in.
Yeah.
I find it also just how, you know, I want to believe that maybe in the beginning of my career, I was like you. I wasn't too much with my voice. I was very much sitting in the corner, you know. And it's so sad to me that we're dealing with this amongst women, amongst ourselves, and there really is no support. This whole bullshit, and I call it bullshit when I see it's not lived up to, of women empowerment, of we are sisters. A lot of people just like to talk it and don't walk it, and it's so disappointing. It's so disappointing. If I can be in a team and say I got you, that means I got you every step of the way. But it's disappointing when you do have that one rotten apple who doesn't function like that.
Right.
And hurtful when it's a woman too.
Well, yeah, there was one, and I don't want to quote this because I don't remember exactly what the phrase was, but it was to the effect of, when you get to the table, you look back and you pull another woman up with you. There's a few things. And then it's like, when you're, and this is in Minda's book too, like when you're defining woman, it's not all encompassing. Because when women got the right to vote, not all women got the right to vote. Only white women got the right to vote. So we have to be very careful. The people who have taken the most advantage of this whole diversity and inclusion thing is white women. So we just, and not, look, this is not going in any negative direction. It's just to say, like, we need to self-reflect, going back to that, and really become an ally to each other.
Yeah.
And not, like, step on one another. Because that's not going to get us anywhere.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, like, who the hell cares? Like, why don't you speak up for your colleague? Why don't you know they're a good person? Like, why are you doing that? Like, does that really make you feel good about yourself?
It's
like,
a real question. Yep.
Does it?
Yep.
Does it? No.
Yeah.
So why are you being so nicey? Like one of my good friends.
Nicey. I like that. Nicey.
That's quoted from one of my good friends. Like, she said that one day and I was like, oh, that's such a good
nicey
word.
I like that.
There's no need for that.
You know what? I think we just found the title of this episode.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to keep it nicey.
You know, like it just works better when we're all like, we are all educated. Yeah. We are all like, what the hell does a difference make? Yeah. I'm the type of person that thinks that the more cultures we have to celebrate, the better. My friends look like the United Nations.
Yeah, and that's fine.
We love learning about different cultures and different foods and different this and different that. And it just makes the world a happier place. Like, why wouldn't you want to celebrate all holidays?
Look at all the shit we already deal with that's beyond our control.
Right.
If we can control this, why not? Right.
Yeah. Right. So, you know, we really have to change the conversation in many of these workplaces. I don't know who's going to start it or what, but there's another good book called Fish.
I will have all this information in the notes, guys. I promise.
Yeah, there's another good book called Fish, and I love it so much. And if I'm ever a manager, I want to do this. But
beautiful.
I actually have it bookmarked in my notebook as to the Fish philosophy of how to run your team. And it's like, you choose your attitude, you have a choice in your attitude. And I tell that to my oldest son all the time, because my little son, my younger son, loves to push buttons. And he will push your button until he drives you insane. And it drives my older one insane. And I tell him, I said, listen, you have a choice as to how to react to your brother.
Yeah.
You're either going to choose to be annoyed and mad at him, or you can choose to ignore him and not let him bother you. And then guess what? It's not fun for him anymore to push your buttons, because you're not getting annoyed by his stupid shit.
Because some people live off of that.
And then I told him, I said, you know how many people in this world are like your little brother?
Yeah.
A lot.
On purpose.
So you better learn how to deal with it with your little brother, because there's a lot of people like him, and then you'll be much happier.
Yes.
So choose your attitude when you're going into work. Then the number 2 is play. Like, learn how to play. Like, life is really not that serious.
Yeah.
Most of the time. I know you work in the healthcare industry, so it is a little bit more serious, but I'm in digital advertising and it's not that serious, right? So, and even if you do have serious work, like, try and lighten up the load with something fun.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, the third one is make their day. Instead of bashing your coworker, make their day with something. If they, they like lattes, or they like hearts, I don't know, do something nice for them. And then the fourth one was be there, like, be present for your team and your coworkers and your job. Like, just be human about it, And it's a really nice story about a team that was in the dumps that got completely turned around, but there are things we can do. We just choose not to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for sharing this. Again, I will have this information in the notes. Because when you think about everything you just said, and the fact that you can apply this to yourself as a human being in the workforce, you're actually helping your family, your kids, how they function with each other. I think that if we were to take 4 very simple and so loaded principles like that and use them on our daily life to any of our functions with any type of relationship we have, we can really just live life okay.
Yeah.
Not perfect.
Not perfect,
but okay.
A little bit better.
A little bit better. A little bit less of insanity, because we already have the media putting us through the utmost insanity right now with all this pandemic and frenzy shit. Perfect example of something we can't control, but these little 4 things we can.
Right.
And we can work through that. The last of my double or nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. I heard this rumor my whole life. So I definitely want to shine light on this too. Because I do think it's important, being in our 30s, whether we have partners or not, when we are moms, and even if we are not,
right?
Okay. This whole rumor about Latinas being spicy. This whole rumor of Latinas being spicy. I'm sure many of you are like, bitch, that's not a rumor. That's true. We are spicy. But how do you keep that going for yourself first, and with having a partner, and finding that balance? I know you're a good mom. I know you're an excellent mother. I see it. And my 13-year-old son says it all the time too. Yes, he's shady. Not really. He has his favorites just like his mama. So he'll say it. But how do you find that balance for yourself too? Like with your partner, because I know growing up what the idea was, and you just didn't. The women I looked up to, including my mother, they just were not supposed to be a certain type of way.
Right.
How are we now with that? Where do you stand with that?
It's definitely not easy. I have just put my foot down on certain things that I said I'm not doing.
Got it.
You just have to be very confident in yourself and in your decisions. Yeah. And just basically not let other people peer pressure you.
Yeah.
Even if it is your own family and your own mom. For example, here's a few examples. Like, when my first son was born, I had a whole play area for him in my living room. And my mother-in-law's like, oh, that's so messy. It's so many toys everywhere. And the living room, it doesn't look like put together. And my response to her was, well, it's my living room to start off with. And it's my son's area who lives in this house. So he is also allowed to have a section in this living room.
Good point.
So, I mean, If you don't want it in your house, that's your decision.
Mm-hmm.
It's my home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have a section for my son in our living
Mm-hmm.
room.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank. And another thing, like, my mom would go to bed at 2 a.m. cleaning the house.
Oh, my gosh.
Because the house had to be perfect, immaculate. There couldn't be any dust bunnies and there couldn't be any dirty dishes. But, I mean, I do clean my kitchen every day. That's, like, the one thing I do clean. I love cooking and cooking healthy meals. And I feel like it's another level of cleanliness because the crumbs and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I may or may have not mopped in months. I don't know. I do sweep. I have children. There's crumbs everywhere.
All
it's
the time.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
I do sweep. I sometimes really don't have the time to mop.
Mm-hmm.
And not me. My partner does it too.
Amen.
We are a team, and that's something I put in the forefront when we started dating. Like, I'm not your mom.
Yeah.
I'm your partner.
Yes.
So, yeah, if you need things, that's fine, but I'm not your mother.
Yeah.
And, you know, I haven't done laundry in years because he does it.
He does.
I haven't taken out the trash maybe ever.
Yeah.
Maybe today I brought it back down, maybe.
Okay.
Because he does that. But I also always do the cooking and make sure the kids have everything that they need. And
Right.
If he's taking care of the kids and giving them a bath, then I also clean the kitchen.
Okay.
Things like that. But there's just certain things, like, I'm not going to go mop at midnight because why?
Yeah.
Because why?
Yeah.
Because I need to go to sleep because I have to go to work the next day.
Yeah.
I also have a full-time job, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to have to mop another day. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have 3 bags of clean laundry that we have to
Yeah.
fold, and it's there for weeks,
Yeah.
maybe, because it just keeps piling up. Like, it's a lot of work. But there are certain things that I will not push aside to
Yeah.
fold laundry or to mop. And that is, I go to the gym once a
Yeah.
week because that's all I could do
Mm-hmm.
on either Saturday morning or Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows, like, that's my time.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever we do has to go work around that.
Yeah.
Unless it's something super important.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But we're going to have to schedule whatever it is around my gym time because
Mm-hmm.
that's my gym time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the
for
only
you.
time
Yeah.
I get for myself.
Yeah.
That 1 hour. And that's not even myself. Like, I'm working out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But then I come home and I'm, you know, making breakfast for everybody. And I grab the groceries and I do all these different things. So that, and no one leaves the house until I'm ready. You know
Got
that whole
it.
thing, like, oh, yeah, mom gets ready last.
Yes.
Well, yeah, sometimes I'm the last one getting ready, but no one is leaving this house until I have my makeup and my hair done. I'm sorry.
Amen.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. Like, I'm not looking like shit and everybody else is looking nice.
That's right.
That is not how it works. We're going to be late. Oh, well, too bad.
Yep. Yep.
Too bad.
Like I told my son, your mama gotta look good too.
Exactly.
Because you don't look like shit. You look perfectly fine. And I'm
Yeah.
sure your partner enjoys having you looking good too.
No, I'm not leaving the house until I'm ready. Like, we're going to
Yeah.
be late. Oh, well, everybody's going to have to sit there and wait. I'm sorry.
Yep. I hear you. I'm one. You know me. Everywhere I go, I have my little touch of makeup or something has to look right.
Something. I'm not stepping out into the streets looking like a crazy person.
Yeah.
Like, oh, right, yeah, if I'm going to the grocery store or the gym, whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, if we're going out as a family to an event, no.
Yeah. And the important thing is, if that was what makes you feel good, then you should be entitled to leave your house the moment you feel good.
Yeah, and
Yes.
that's a big difference. Like, when I was on maternity leave, or when you know, maybe some women who are not moms, like, if they have a bout of, you know, sadness or depression, like when you're on your period and you feel like shit, like even taking a shower, putting on clean clothes, fixing
makes
your
you feel
hair
so good.
makes you feel better.
Yes.
Makes you feel better. So there's no way that I'm gonna be in my house all day in sweats.
Yeah.
You know, haven't taken a shower for 2 days. Like, no. My kids are older now. They're 3 and 5, and my 5-year-old pretty much showers and gets dressed on his own. So everybody, and this is something I tell my kids too, the whole family is a team.
Yeah.
You know, like the kids, they need to
Set
help
that tone.
too.
Yeah, set
You
that
need
tone.
to pick up, because you know what? Mom and dad are not going to pick up all your shit all the time.
That's
And
right.
yesterday I had them helping with laundry, which I'm also going to post on my OffDutyMami.
That's right.
Like, if your kid knows how to sort, if your kid knows their colors, and if your kid knows how to categorize things, then they sure as hell
Make them
can
do
help
it.
you with the laundry.
Yeah.
They rolled up all the socks in their pairs and they sorted everybody's clothes. They sorted mommy's pile,
Yeah.
daddy's pile,
Yeah.
all the underwears. Like, they did all of that.
Yeah.
And they had different piles on the bed. And fine, it's not like a job 100% complete, but it's helpful. Like, they rolled up all those damn socks.
Yo.
You know how annoying that is?
Yeah, no, it is annoying.
They
I hate
had
it
a great
every time.
They
Every
had
time.
a great time, and they feel useful.
Mm-hmm.
Me is like, you need to wear clothes,
Yeah.
so you should know how to clean your clothes
And look
like,
good in it and feel good about yourself.
Like, no one else's responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's your clothes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I mean, yes, it is your parents' job now because you're young and you're little kids, but when you're an adult, is your responsibility. And there's never been an instance in our house where it's like, oh, that's mommy's job. Oh, that's daddy's
There we
job.
go.
Never.
That's what I wanted.
It's like, we're a team, and if it has to get done, then it has to get done. Like, for all they know, they think laundry is a quote unquote man's job because that's the only person they've ever seen do the laundry. You know? So
Good point. Very good point.
yeah, like that's the only thing they've seen. And it's hard for me to remember what I was doing. Oh, my partner was like cooking something, and they're like, "Daddy, you cook?" Because they've never seen him cook before, because I always do the cooking, but it's just because that's what I enjoy doing.
And I bet they
So
saw
that's
them
what
with
I
like
did.
these eyes too, like,
So
oh,
they were
shit,
super
there you go.
curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not because it's a woman or man's thing. It's just because that's what I enjoy being responsible for.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really cute, and they were curious about that, and they're always super helpful, and they don't, like, their dad has no gender
Yeah.
biases, like, oh, I'm not doing laundry, or I'm not doing this. Like, it
See,
just
that's
doesn't
so
work. Like, he
appealing,
cleans the
though.
toilet just like I clean the toilet. Like, he mops just like how I mop.
Yeah.
It's just, when things have to get done, they just have to get done. And I taught, like, we've spoken about it, like, I also have a full-time job. He also has a full-time job.
Right.
So why is it one person's responsibility over another?
Yeah.
You know?
How do you guys find the balance, though, to also have your you time, like away from? I know, because it must be hard. You guys have a 3-year-olds and a 5-year-old. You guys clearly have a clear understanding of what a team looks like for you guys, and that's great. I love that you guys find that balance. Again, I raise my son, and my son, when it comes to our group of friends and the men in our group of friends, he definitely admires your partner, because I'm not raising him with a man in this house. He has his dad at a distance, but he sees more of these men, you know, and looks up to them as role models and who they are. And he always says it, like, you know, your partner, he sees him to be funny because he's always giving you compliments, or he's always like telling you little, you know, little flirtatious things, you know. And I have that opportunity to always tell Marcus, my son, and say, you know, when you grow up and life gets hard, and let's say you are married and, you know, you have a partner, don't expect her to do everything. You do things with her. You know, if you guys have kids, don't forget to tell her, oh, you look good. Oh, you look beautiful. Or, you know, look at you looking good cooking. Like, even if it is like things like that. And because sometimes life takes you on a shift.
Yeah, it does.
So it's like, how do you guys like try at least to find that time? Because I can only imagine it's hard. Listen, I am going to be one of the people, if a lot of people don't tell you, single parenting is hard, but I truly believe it's even harder when you do have 2 people in the home, because now you got to work with 2 adult schedules.
Yeah, 2 adult schedules, 2 different thoughts, 2 different, a lot of things. Like, it's another set of emotions, right? Like, there's a few things. There's, like, ground rules, right? We don't curse at each other.
Nice.
That's a no-no. That just takes respect to a whole new level. Like, yeah, we argue. And yeah, sometimes we don't agree in things, but we try not to raise our voice at all.
Yeah.
To keep it cool. And not to curse at each other, right? Because that's super disrespectful. And once you start losing that, then it's hard to work on everything else.
Amen.
So that's sort of ground rules. in terms of finding us time,
I can only imagine.
So before my kids were in school, it was a little easier because some Fridays we would leave them at my mom's house.
Nice,
Or not even Friday, like a random day during the week, they would
Yeah.
stay there. And then it would be a Tuesday and we would go to a movie
Yeah.
or go out to dinner. Now they're in school, so they're mostly with us. And it's really, 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 really hard to find you time.
Yeah.
But recently, what we've been doing is watching La Reina del Sur.
Hey, whatever works. I'm all for it. Yes.
On the couch.
I heard that was a good one too.
It's really good for
Yes.
1 or 2 episodes, and it's a show that we both enjoy because most of the
Nice.
stuff he watches I really don't care for at all.
Okay.
So if he knows that I'm gonna join him to watch TV, he picks something that we both like, and La Reina del Sur is one of them.
Okay.
So we said maybe or maybe not. I fall asleep. I don't know. But we, I don't know, share a beer. Or
There you go.
have some ice cream and
Yeah.
watch La Reina del Sur. And then now recently, we booked a concert in Mohegan Sun.
Nice.
That hopefully happens.
I know,
is like
with
a
this whole
whole
COVID shit.
Yeah, but anyway, we asked my mom if she would be able to stay with the boys for
Yeah.
one night, and
Yeah.
instead of going and watching it at Madison for the day, we just said, let's take a mini road trip.
Good for you guys.
You know, and it doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
But it's a little thing that you could do if you plan ahead. To
Sleep
do
away
that.
to actually
Yeah.
get your time
Yeah.
together.
And I know that maybe some people don't have the option to leave their
Yeah,
kids
yeah,
with a family
yeah.
member overnight, but maybe it's a day thing. Like
Yeah.
maybe you go like, listen, I wish day party was a thing when I was young because I would have been all for it. We had to fucking stay up overnight, which I
Yeah.
suck at. But anyway, now there's like day parties and all those things. And once they're older, it's, you know, maybe you can find somewhere you can leave them for longer.
Yeah.
But it's, like little things like that, getting creative, I guess.
I'm glad you guys are doing that. I know, like, the whole thing of staying out. I know there was scrutiny for me, for one, being a single mom. Like, oh, you're leaving your kid and you're staying out. Like, where are you going? Like I said, like, when I've had a consistent partner, if there was like an outing or something, like, I would stay out. I don't see a problem with me not coming home.
No, it's you time again.
Yes.
Like, you're not abandoning your kid.
Oh, but they will tell you that.
Of course
I've
they
been told
would.
that. Oh my
Yeah.
God, you're abandoning your child. Like, what are you doing?
No.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
gonna be asleep for most
Yeah,
of the night.
exactly,
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I definitely wanted to, give with the double or nothing, like, to really show how we are changing up. The whole, first of all, it's not a rumor. We are very spicy. And I love that we are bringing it out in this way too. And we're changing up a little bit, at least what our culture has taught us versus what we're teaching today.
I hope so,
As
yeah.
moms, as women, all under being Latina moms, Latina women, women of color, that we are changing up the scenarios, the mentalities, this culture. There's still things I love to keep about the culture.
Oh, yeah,
There's
100%.
wonderful things I want to keep and keep it going and keep it alive. But there are certain things that I don't necessarily agree with. And I always want to be able to have that open communication.
Yeah, and it's funny that you bring it up because I was at a conference and it's a lot of it is conditioning, and it's so innate. It's become innate when it shouldn't be, and it's all how we were conditioned. So you don't even question it. But now we have the ability to do that. So that's why when I mentioned like also educating our older family members with the education that we've gotten, because that was the goal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's for us to be more educated, and hopefully you also put the bug on their ear, in their ear about these things. And it's just like that damn conditioning. You don't think twice about what you're gonna say, but we have that ability to think twice about it when it comes to our culture. It's not that it's bad. It comes from many years of, like the slavery and the colonization,
everything,
and the mental conditioning to beat you down as a person. Like we all have a little bit of that in us, and and it's, coming to this country for our parents and all that, it's not easy. So questioning what we do and what we say sometimes to see if it is the best route for us right now.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree 100%. I'm so glad that we've been able to really take the tape off in this conversation with a lot of things, especially like I said with the whole concept of who our titles were many years ago and who they are today. And we make them who we are today.
You can make it whatever you want.
I like to have this raw talk, right? This is the platform I'm creating here. It is okay to still be true to yourself, to still be true to your culture, to still be true to your skin color, to still be true to whatever it is and whomever it is that you identify with, while still breaking certain stigmas.
Oh yeah, like cycles. For example, we're not married. We're not legally married.
There you go.
Yeah. And that was our decision, and that doesn't make us any different.
Yeah. We just want the wedding though, so we could go away on a trip.
I know. Everybody wants a party.
That's all we want to go to. We just have the party.
But yeah. That was a decision that we decided that worked for us,
I just want to put it out there, and if you feel comfortable answering, you guys have never been married before.
No.
So this is totally their decision.
Yeah.
Okay, they're both very good friends of mine, by the way. Totally their decision, and I actually support that 100%. I have been married. I don't want to have the whole wedding shit again. I don't even know if I really want to be married again. There's days that I say, oh, maybe I do want to be married again. Then there's times I just say, no, fuck all of that. I just want a real partnership. I want a partner. I want someone who's going to ride this out with me in his own right, in my own right. You can still do you. I can still do me, because I'm not losing my individuality. It's taken me a long time to get here.
Yeah,
to be happy with who I am. Even if you're
married, I feel like it would be the same. Like, you shouldn't. Like, why does that have to change anything?
Well, I think some people don't know how to find that balance.
They don't.
I think you guys have.
They don't. No, they don't.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. And that's where I see a lot of partnerships failing and just not working out, and it saddens me, because I don't ever want to see people, whether I know you or don't, going through the shit that I had to go through.
Yeah.
Because it's not fun. It's not fun, and it could get really, really, really shady, right? But also, you shouldn't have to compromise your happiness to just stick with someone, right? Or to stay in a situation if it's not making you happy. And that's where people have to figure out how they are as an individual, a man and a woman, 2 men or 2 women, whatever it is. I think open conversation, open communication has a lot to do with that, but it all begins with you being true to yourself.
100%.
If you're not truthful with yourself about who you are, what you like, where do you see yourself, how would you like things to be, and you are not honest with others of that, then you're going to end up in a shit show. That's how I see it. But I find that oftentimes it's been scrutinized, because I'm a girl, and you're supposed to just watch what you say and when you say it. And as a Latina woman today, I've definitely been tested. I've seen it. I've been scrutinized a little bit. I don't have the corner office, but I do sit in the corner of my office. And
I love that.
I because I've had to really dig a little deeper and see what makes me happy. And definitely launching this podcast has been a little bit of a discovery along the way. And I felt that it was a good time, because my first baby is turning into a teenager.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a good time to have this baby be born.
Yeah.
And I definitely wanted to bring to this platform someone like you, who has their 2 beautiful babies, right? But you've also had this baby that you've launched. I think there's been a rebirth, maybe, because I do see you posting a little bit more now.
Yeah. And there's definitely been a shift.
Yes. And I'm excited for you. I'm so excited. I wanted to give a moment to you to voice out a lot, so people, and I could share with my listeners, people who can relate to me, who I think can relate to you as well, who are going to need that little bit of a dose in their life, because I need it. I follow you. I've been following you for quite some time.
Yeah.
The day you had that gymnastics moment, I was having a moment.
Aww.
And when you posted it, it was like perfect timing for me to say, like, Daisy, you gotta check out. Miss D has her moments too. She's a badass. She's a tough cookie.
Everybody does.
But there's ever so often a moment I need to just fucking step outside and cry it the fuck out. So that day I actually had that moment. So I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Sharing your minds with my audience, with me. Nay and I talk a lot all the time. Mostly face to face. We really like just put shit on the table. Mostly while she's cooking, and she makes a banging ass margarita. And she makes some banging ass guacamole. And Mexican food is like her thing, guys.
My soul is Mexican.
Yes, her soul is Mexican. So it's delicious. I'm still trying to convince her to put out a book of her own recipes because she comes out so creative with it. So I would love for her to do it. And I want to safely say this is not the first time you guys are going to hear of OffDutyMami on the show. I really think OffDutyMami has a lot to bring to the table. And the whole purpose of Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast is to really give a dose to my listeners of what this thing I call life, in Miss D's life, right? All the rawness. And OffDutyMami is definitely one of those. It's definitely a dose I have to offer you guys. So I hope you love tuning in. I hope you love the show. Any last words? OffDutyMami?
Take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
Take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you guys could hear her smile, because this is what it's about. Justiano.
And don't take no one's caca.
That's right. Don't do it. This has been episode 4 of Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast. I am your host, Miss D, and I will see you next week. Bye.